Hey guys, thank you for joining us for Amplify 2024. I am very excited to introduce you to our host for this session, Clint White. Clint is a coach at Coaching with Integrity, and he works there directly with shop owners to improve team accountability and to streamline processes for shop owners. He's going to be delivering a session today on successful scheduling and workflow management. Let's get started, and you can drop all of your questions in the Q&A box, and Clint will answer them after the session. Over to you, Clint.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. And I am honored to be with you guys here today and cover this thought-provoking topic. And so what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to go ahead and jump right into my presentation here. I'm going to do a share screen with you. I apologize for there we go. Almost there. There we go. Pretend that didn't happen. There you go. That's the most unprofessional transition I've ever had, but we're going to work with it. So successful scheduling and workflow management. Quick caveat, guys, this is normally about a 4-hour class and then some, and I've pared it down to the 45-minute time allotment today. So some of the stuff's going to go fast. Some of the stuff might leave you wanting, might leave you with some questions. And so like you were just instructed, drop your questions in the chat box, and we'll get to that towards the end of the session. And I want to make sure that I honor our time together and give you as much as possible. So here we go. Hello, my name is Clint White. I'm the owner, coach, consultant with Coaching with Integrity, or CWI. And I've been in the industry going on almost 30 years. I've been a ASE Master Tech. I have managed multiple stores. I've been a coach and consultant for years and worked with hundreds and hundreds of advisors and managers and technicians. And I can tell you that I have an intense passion for people like you. I know what you do on the day-to-day. I know what you do and what you struggle with. And I want to bring today some very relevant information that's going to, I believe, change your perspective on how you run your shop, how you schedule, and how you manage your workflow. I want to help you set clear timelines with both your team and your clients or your customers. I want you to eliminate some of the scheduling woes that you've been challenged with and learn some strategies to avoid the snags that we deal with every day. I want you to understand when your funnel is full of work and when your funnel is not full of work. And ultimately, I want to teach you about logical logistics, give you techniques to maximize and use your physical space using bay management and a very unique parts distribution model that I believe will save you time and frustration. So here we go. Let's dive right in. Let's do a quick reality check. And this is I know maybe you already know this, so just eat the meat and spit out the bones today, guys. But our world has changed. Is that safe to say? Now, I remember doing this in the early 90s. It's not the early 90s. It's not the early 2000s. It's not the 20 teens anymore, guys. In fact, we're almost halfway through the 2020s. That scares me to death. And yet many of us, many of you, continue to operate your shops as though nothing's changed in our world. It's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. There's a definition for that. It eludes me. I'll move on. Here we go. So our reality has changed. Let's dig into some of those changes, guys. Here's what it looks like. Here's some pictures that I snapped of some vehicles for sale. Notice that you have a 44,000. In fact, let me grab my pointer here real quick. And I've got a MSRP of $44,000, but it's 67 out the door. Why? Because we have a market value adjustment, MVA. Here's another one that should have gone out the door for 45,000, but it's also 45,000 of an MVA. And so we have an $88,000 vehicle. How about this one here? Just an F-150, a boring F-150, $69,000 truck. No big deal, except we have a market value adjustment of $69,000, making it 140. Who pays 140 for a truck? That's ridiculous. I could buy a house for that. Here's one. It's a Nissan Z 2023. This should have been 54,000, but no, it's 129. The reality, guys, is that replacing a vehicle with a new vehicle, which is really the only option. Let me clarify real quick. Don't buy used. People trade in their used cars for at least one, if not a dozen reasons. And if you want to jump from the pot into the fire, go ahead. The devil you know versus the devil you don't. New cars are the only option, and it just flat out is expensive. I can tell you personal experience here. Just a few months ago, my wife wanted a new Denali, and I was in a position to buy her a new Denali and score some points with my wife. And we went to a number of dealerships across multiple states, and guess what? You can't buy a new Denali. I said, well, let's order one. What do we got? 30 days, 40 days? How about 365 days? 1 year for delivery. And I was forced to buy one a year old, low miles, because I can't get new. This is my personal experience. No embellishments. This is reality. And I paid nearly what new was. So inventory is limited. Prices are high. And to be honest with you, your customers, they know this. So when their cars break down, they have to fix it. And they know they have to fix it. Thank you, Agnes. I wish I could mimic her voice, but I'm not that good. I've got a little bit of a lower register. So you can just imagine she's saying, you have to fix it. And they know that. And so customers know they have to fix it versus spending the cost of a house to replace it, which means that our shops have become money printing machines. We're busy. In fact, we're making more money than we ever have. We're flagging more hours. We have higher AROs. We've got higher profitability. The world has changed, and not necessarily for the worse, guys. The challenge is that over the last 4 or 5 years, they've come in droves. And we haven't changed our scheduling model or our workflow management model, and it has left us with this. We're too busy, and we can't handle it. And it's turned into, for some shops, quite the mess. And so today, like I said, I want to give you some techniques, some pointers, some processes to change that and to be more efficient in what you do, making your shop simply a better place to work and a better place to be a client. So let's talk a little bit more about our reality again. Now I'm painting a picture and then I'm going to give you solutions. So don't worry, I'm not here to be the naysayer. I'm here to just bring light to what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So here we go. Technicians and advisors are in short supply. That's not new news. We know that we've had a staffing shortage for a number of years. And in fact, here's some statistics for you. From the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the end of December is the most current numbers that we have. 9 million job openings in America, 5.6 million filled. Where did everybody go? I don't know. But here's the deal. We're missing staff. We are understaffed. The restaurant you go to that has 100 open tables but only 2 servers, yeah, they could sit you, but they'd never take care of you. You got to wait. In fact, here's the deal. Waiting is part of our world now, more so than it's ever been before. At a restaurant, at an automotive shop, go to the local, any local bistro, go to your doctor, go to the vet with your dog. You're gonna wait. And in fact, here's my broken heart. Same day service, which I cut my teeth on nearly 3 decades ago. We've always prided ourselves on getting that car in, getting it out as fast as possible, same day if possible. I can't do anymore in many instances. My hands are tied. I don't have the staff for it. Now, let me pause here for a second. If you happen to be one of the very few blessed shop owners that has a abundance of staff and you got more people you know what to do with, and they're all amazing culture oriented people that just they get it and they want it and they have the capacity to do their job, yeah, this class might not be for you. You can go ahead and log out and watch cartoons the rest of the day. But for the rest of us that have the daily struggle, yeah, it's different now. And same day service doesn't happen. And here's why. You see that little ball right there? That's COVID. That's an actual enlarged picture of the COVID virus. COVID has normalized the wait. Remember when you had to wait in line for, I don't know, toilet paper? Yeah, remember when you had to wait in line for any service or product? Remember the supply chain issue where you couldn't get parts to fix your stove or your refrigerator because, well, they were stuck on a boat somewhere or they weren't making them in a different country and you just had to wait. And now here we are, 4 years removed from that terrible global event, by the way. It was horrible. And yes, I did lose friends. It was not great. But it's changed the wait. It's changed the way we view waiting. And yet shop owners, advisors, managers, technicians, we're still stuck in 2013. Those were great times. I miss them, but we're not there and we're likely to never be there again. So here's a question for you guys. How important do you believe speed of service is to your clients today? Now, I don't have any audio feedback and I can't hear your answers. I can tell you that it has changed. Your clients know that their cars need to be repaired. They know that they're going to wait. In fact, they wait for other things in their own life. And so I can tell you that fast repairs versus quick answers and acknowledgement. That's a topic I'd love to dig into if I don't have time, but I'm going to give you as much as I can here in a few seconds. Fast repairs is a terrible model, but quick answers and acknowledging your client and giving them one-on-one service, I believe, is the best. And what we're about to talk about is going to allow you to do that. So here's another challenge in our industry. Is it safe to say that parts, and notice the generic non-name brand parts picture I have there, parts are harder to find. They're slower to be delivered to your shop. I love to go back to the good old days when, let's say I had a brake job that I sold and I could order pads and rotors from 3 of my vendors at the same time. And then I would let them race, and they didn't know they were in a race. And the first guy to show up with the parts I would sign for and receive his parts, and the other 2, they pull in my lot, and I'd wave them off and say, never mind, you're too slow. Now, yeah, I did do that a few times. That's really immature and terrible. Don't do that. But I can't do that anymore because I have to wait. So it's safe to say that our supply chain is strained. Our vendors are stretched thin. You see, they don't have parts drivers. They're also short on parts. We have to, let me just stop here for a second, take a drink of coffee, because what I'm about to say is critical. You'd better love on your vendors. You'd better elevate them to the highest position, honor them, because they're working just as hard as you, and they deserve respect. I can tell you what, man, I love my vendors, and I understand their challenges are my challenges. And so be very cautious when frustrations boil, when your parts don't show. So we've got stress relationships. We've got repairs taking longer. And here's a little chart. I love this. We offer 3 kinds of services, right? You could read this: good, cheap, and fast, but you can only get to pick 2. So if you want good and cheap, it won't be fast. You want fast and good? Well, it won't be cheap. You want cheap and fast, which is what we've tried to do for decades. Cheap and fast. The repair won't be good. It takes time to do what we do. It takes time for quality. And I'm not asking you to slow your roll. I'm not asking you to drag your feet in production. I'm asking you to do it efficiently and effectively and correctly and ethically. It takes time, especially when we choose to wait for the best parts. I'm going to say that again. It takes time when we choose to wait for the best parts. So here's a question for you. I know I can't hear your answers, but I'm here to make thought-provoking questions come to the front of the conversation. So you ready? Have you recently made the choice to compromise parts quality for speed of service? And how did that go for you? And again, I'll keep it very generic, but hey guys, you know who I'm talking about. I've got a part available today from one of my vendors, and it's the lowest quality, highest failure rate, garbage part in the world. But because speed of service, fast repairs is the most important thing, I'm going to go ahead and sell that to my client. And hey, if it fails, no big deal. It's got a warranty. You just compromised their experience. You just made the choice for them to give them a potentially substandard repair. Why would we do this? But we do. I'm here to challenge you. I think that's the wrong choice. Scheduling. Let's talk about scheduling real quick. It's kind of in the title of the class. Probably ought to cover that. Here's what your current schedule looks like. Now, I'm going to keep this as generic as possible. I work with the majority of point of sale systems, right? So POSs, your shop operating management systems, and they all are different. They all look different, different flavors, different colors. And I can tell you that when it comes to the schedule, they all look like this. In fact, I love y'all if you're a representative of any of those name brand, but so far, all kind of terrible. And they're just convoluted and complicated. And I've got this board and that board and this thing and that thing. In fact, so complicated, many of the shops I've encountered don't even use it because it's so ineffective and inefficient. So I've been into shops. In fact, just recently, 2 days ago, I do on-sites with shops, and was in this shop. Nice place, by the way. And on their front counter was their schedule. That's right, a large month at a glance, as if it was the year 1942, and we're using pencil because someone might cancel. We have to erase their name. Why are we scheduling on paper? And I asked them because the particular operating system they have, which is very much a name brand and everyone knows, sucks. sorry to offend, it's terrible. I have to go back to paper. And that appointment book that they had, which many of you may have, is just incoming appointments, as if you were a doctor. You see, doctors have incoming appointments, but they also have surgeries that must be scheduled. And if the appointments and the surgeries don't line up, chaos ensues. Yet we do the same thing. I'll have an appointment book for what's coming in, but what we're producing in the shop is absolutely not scheduled or managed. How do you schedule them? Gut feeling? Well, how about this? How about FIFO? Everyone remembers that, right? Here we go. First in, first out. Nope. Repairs are not cans of green beans on your grocery store shelf. How about scheduling by the seat of your pants? That's weird. I don't do that. Do you? So here's a challenge with this current scheduling model that many shops are operating with, is that there's no plan for walk-ins. What do you do when someone walks in? You don't. You can't. What about an emergency? No, I can't do that. Well, maybe you do. Here's an example. I got maybe a single mama with a pile of kids in a minivan from out of state, and she's got grinding brakes and there's tears. And what do I do? Now, my daddy taught me to be a good person and take care of those that need to be taken care of. So we put her to the front of the line, and we get that vehicle fixed for her. What does it do to all the other cars that are waiting to be produced and repaired? It's that rolling slowdown. And if you ever commute on a freeway and 6:30 in the morning, you're slowed down for 15 minutes and you get to the point where the slowdown is and there's nothing there but a pile of glass. That's right. The accident happened 3 hours ago, but the residual slowdown is evident for hours or days, depending on where you live. And the same thing happens when we throw an emergency in. It's all well and good, but it destroys the rest of our productivity for the remainder of the week. And really what happens is we live in a measure of chaos. And even though I've heard shop owners tell me, oh, it's controlled chaos, Clint, it's chaos. And chaos always inevitably leads to broken promises. And when we break our promises with our clients, we violate trust. And when you violate trust, you damage relationship. And when you damage relationship, you're left with nothing but a transaction. And if you choose to be a transactional shop, it's at that point you go to that little X in the top right of your screen now, and I'll bid you adieu. We are not transactionalists. We're relational specialists. Fixing cars is secondary. You're not the car fixing business. You're in the people business. We have to have a servant's heart and take care of people. And when we take care of people and we effectively manage our machine called the shop, chaos disappears. It's a great place to be. So those current scheduling models that I was, smack talking just a little bit, they kind of look like this for you technicians out there. This is a wiring diagram showing a UO100, which is a lack of comm code with the PCM. Yes, I am a technician at heart, always have been, always will be. Here's what your shop looks like. If you've got more than one service advisor using your current scheduling model, you have competing advisors, right? I want to get my car in first. No, my customer's more important. Well, my customer came in before your customer. Well, I have seniority here and I'll put my car in here. At the end of the day, you've got one winner, a whole pile of losers. And down in this pile here, you've got customers, you've got technicians, the other advisors. It's not healthy. And on the other side of things, that you have the big picture of what's going on in the shop. When should cars come in? When do they leave? When are they promised? When should they be done? Where are my parts? All sorts of questions. And many times, again, this is me. And let me, if I had hats here, I put on my technician hat and say, hey, bro, hey, boys and ladies, technicians, I'm one of you. And I can tell you, I'm blind to the big picture because I don't know what's going on in my shop. And at the end of the day, we're left with an intense amount of tension and frustration between the front of the house, the advisors, and the technicians in the back of the house. And your shop culture begins to crumble. Notice I am pointing towards and preaching towards people, culture, community, relationships. This is why we're here, guys. Yes, we fix cars. Yes, we make money. That's okay. That's not a sin. But we have to focus on people first. You lose sight of that, we all fail. Let's keep going. Here's a question for you. How much of the day-to-day frustrations in your shop right now are directly rooted, and I said rooted in, a mismanaged schedule? I can tell you from experience, a lot. You ever had a technician? I'll just pull in this car, not my problem. Oh, parts aren't here. Well, oh well, service advisor has to deal with it. That's a terrible model, guys. Let's not do that anymore. Let's work with one another. Let's get everyone on the same page. Okay, so we've talked about what our current world is like. We've talked about the challenges that we have. Now let's talk about solutions. You guys ready? It's gonna go fast. Don't have a lot of time left. I'm gonna get everything in here that I can. In order for you to schedule workflow effectively, we have to view our shops dualistically. I know that's a big word for some of you, but let me give you a picture to help. Dualistic. It's yin and yang. It's two in one. So if you own one shop right now and you've always wanted to be an MSO, a multi-store owner, I just gave you your second store. You see, we're going to have two very distinct shops operating simultaneously, harmoniously under one roof. The dualistic shop methodology. Here we go. Shop number one. Yeah, this is your first shop under the same roof, same building, same crew. You don't even have to tell your accountant you're doing this. He'll never know. We got two shops. So in the morning, all testing, all inspecting, all of your digital vehicle inspections, all of your oil changes, all of them happen first, period. In fact, your first shop is an investigative facility. If you're taking notes, it's an investigative facility. You're simply there to find repairs. You're simply there to investigate condition. You're simply there to test and diagnose. And I throw in oil changes because those aren't repairs. You're spilling and filling, you're dumping and pumping, you're licking and sticking. That is not a repair. That's just, let's be honest, an oil change is an excuse to pop the hood and take a look. Okay, guys? And that's okay. It's not a dishonest thing. We're here to take care of people in their cars. Now, that being said, any hanging work, holdover, on the rack, out in the shop, ready to produce. So maybe I've got a car in the parking lot with calipers, pads, and rotors. It's a brake job. Don't touch it. We don't touch any repairs until all of our investigation is done. Now, the process that I'm teaching looks like this. Oops, hang on. Let's fix that. By the way, if you've ever been to In-N-Out, they're good. They're not the best. Let's fix that. There we go. In-N-Out inspections. You see, car comes into the shop. This is bay management. Car comes in. We inspect. We diagnose. Picture, 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 picture. Please, I know this is not an inspection class, but please stop skimping on pictures, good and bad. Show the customer the condition of their car through the eyes of the technician. Allow them to make educated decisions. Is the patient healthy enough for surgery? And then we shut the hood, put it down, and get it out. In my shop, the car comes in. We inspect. We bolt the wheels back on and get it out. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out in the morning. Don't let anything hang on the rack. That's a huge, huge issue in our industry. And I can tell you as a technician, I know why. It's hard. My back hurts. I got to get down and unrack the car. Oh, I got to lift those tires back up, put them on. Oh, I'll take them off here later today to do brakes, put them on. I don't have time to unpack this, but your bay is worth a substantial amount of money per minute in production. Do not leave cars on your rack. Now, the other reason, one of the other reasons why we diagnose and inspect in the morning is because your technicians come in and, well, look at that. They're well rested. They diagnose quicker, more efficiently, saving you time, saving your customers money. Many times technicians that are not clear-headed towards the end of the day, they've had a big, big lunch, maybe some amazing Pakistani food. Oh, I hear it's amazing, right? So they're full, they can't think straight. Oh my gosh. And you want them to diagnose at the brain surgeon level? No wonder we have misdiagnoses. No wonder we take hours and hours to diagnose something that turned out to be something simple like a fuse or a loose ground. Stop making your guys do brain surgeon work in the afternoon. They do it in the morning while they're well rested, less stressed, and clear-minded. They just become efficient. And when we do all this first, it means that, here it is, your funnel stays full. We turn in our inspections quickly. We get estimates put together quicker, earlier in the day. We can order parts quicker and not miss that cutoff time to delay the part yet another day. And it allows us to be more efficient in selling jobs with realistic completion times internally And externally, guys, this is your first shop. This is your investigative facility. Let's talk about your second shop. All scheduled, pre-sold repairs, mechanical, anything that requires a lower level of thinking and a higher level of articulation. This happens after and only after all of our inspections are done. And I hope that makes very, very clear sense to you guys. Only after. And when we do that, your technicians can stay focused on production and efficiency. And when they're mid-repair, let's just say that they're doing a timing chain job on a 5.4 liter. Yep, that's right. I'll give you a personal experience. A long time ago, very long time ago, when the 5.4 was very new, I was doing the dual timing chains on it. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the advisor comes to me and says, "Hey, technician Clint, I need some diagnosis done on a waiting customer. There's 10 codes." And so I stopped where I was at, grabbed the scan tool, spent about an hour or so, diagnosed it, came back, and again, I looked at my timing marks. I looked, everything was right, and I put it back together, and it fired right up. And then about 10 seconds later, it came came apart internally. A rapid, unscheduled disassembly, internal failure. You see, I had forgotten one thing. The timing chain tensioners, I didn't do that on, and I didn't release the tension. I destroyed the engine because I was not left alone. Let me fix the cars. You see, I don't want to disturb during testing, and I don't want to disturb during production. And guys, this is your second shop, the production facility. When we do this, we're more efficient. When we do this, you make a better community to work within, right? Your culture is healthy. And if you're managing everything properly, one of the things you prevent is a rack flower. Does anybody know what a rack flower is? Now, you might not. Tell you, it's that car that's been on the rack all day, all week. I was just at a shop recently. They had a car on the rack, 30 days. 30 days on a rack. It was missing the engine transmission cradle was out, and they had no way to move it. And so for 30 days, they had no production on that rack. And I said, the cost of a cradle, an engine cradle replacement, or a set of wheels would have cost you substantially less than the money you lost in production. Get those cars in and out, and no rack flowers. And I can tell you, one of the ways that we prevent rack flowers is making sure that we have all of our parts available and they're confirmed. So here's another question for you. Guys, ready? What does your incoming parts shelf look like right now? What does your incoming parts shelf look like right now? Here's one for you. Yeah, this is what I see when I come into shops. Yep, there it is. And we have a big label for this. All those parts, are they new? Are they used? Are they cores? Do they go to jobs? Who goes to what? I don't know. We call this the big fat hot mess. That's what that is. It's a hot mess. How many hours of production are lost each day to walking back and forth looking for parts, sorting through piles, or worse yet, bringing a car in, disabling it, tearing it down, and then not having all the parts? I can tell you that conservatively, and this is very conservatively in a shop that looks like this, you are losing well over an hour of production per day per guy. Period. Do the math on that times how many working days this year. Oh, oops. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, depending on your price point, guys. Because of this, you're right. Parts distribution is an absolute disaster in a lot of shops, and so let's fix it right now. Here we go. I'm gonna go quick. How are we doing for time here? Come on, turn on. Okay, oof. I'm gonna have to go quick. So we have a landing zone. What's the landing zone? It is the inbound part shelf. It is where you meet the parts delivery specialist, the guy from your supplier. We always say we have a shop policy, no drop and flop, meaning that they can't drop the parts on the shelf, flop the paper in front of you while you're on the phone and run away. Nope. We have a human being meet them to make sure the parts are there, quantities are correct, part numbers are correct. If the box looks like it's been molested with greasy hands, maybe we open that box and go, hey, that's a core. I don't want to buy a core. Tell me that never happens. We verify all the parts are correct. That is huge at the landing zone, making sure, and this can be the advisor, the manager, the owner. This can even be maybe a shop foreman. Heck, anybody that's human that can read can verify parts before they're dropped off and the guy runs away. Here's another issue in our shop. Let's talk about cores and returns. How many cores do you have sitting around? How many returns do you have sitting around right now? I spent time in a shop a couple of years ago that we found $15,000 worth of cores that had been laying around, a couple transmissions and a whole lot of high-end parts that just didn't go back because they didn't have a model to fix it. And so here's what the model looks like. You have a landing zone on the one shelf by the front door, by the side door. That's where the parts get dropped off. That's where we meet the specialist. And by the way, right below that are the totes per vendor with their cores already in it. The core slips are already filled out because I tell every one of my commercial parts guys, I say, I want one of your core books so I can fill that out if they're still using core books or return books. No excuses. Cores go back same day. That's my money. It goes back in my checking account. It doesn't belong on my shelf, by the way. Now, what do we do with those parts? Do we leave them there and then we have that hot mess? No, not at all. We go to the hardware store. We purchase one of these per technician. And next to each of my technicians' toolbox is a part shelf for him. And on each one of those shelves is a tote. Now I use the bus tubs from a local restaurant supply. They're very resilient. They're oil resistant. And whenever a part comes in, it goes into the tub for that job. And on the front of that tub is actually just a printed repair order with part numbers, quantities, labor. It's the job ticket for your technician. And throughout the day or the days, whoever receives that part, their responsibility is to walk it over, find the tote, put it in, and then they do this. Initial. I am a human being and I put this part in there, just initial on each part. And when all of the parts are there, then we grab this really high-end tool, right? And we put a big X across the front of it that says to the technician, everything in that tote and everything for that car is here. So every time he comes up to his toolbox, he can see, oh, that car is ready to pull in. Whether it's on his schedule or not, he knows there have been multiple human beings involved to verify all the parts are there, and they're right there at his work area. Don't make him walk back and forth. Keep him in the bay. He is your machine. Let him or her work. Don't make them hunt for parts. No more piles of piles of parts. Boy, that's a fun one. One pile goes into the other. Somebody grabs the wrong seal, and now you're waiting 3 days for a new seal, and it was sitting in someone else's pile. Let's clean this up, guys. And here's the neat thing about this: you empower your technicians. You empower your technicians to be a part of the process. You see, I'm going to teach you about scheduling here in just a few seconds. When the technician is done with his day, with what's on his production schedule for the day, and he's ahead of the curve because he's a good technician. By the way, if you're not flagging 40 hours a week, oof, hey, we need to ramp that up. 40 hours is kind of a baseline, right? Come on, guys. Efficiency. Let's do this. A technician at his toolbox can look up and go, well, there's a 3-hour job right there. All the parts are guaranteed to be there. I know that I'm very efficient. I can knock that out in an hour. I've got an hour and a half left in the day. Plenty of time for me to be on my phone or be in the tool truck. And they can simply pick up the phone and go, hey, advisor, I'm going to go ahead and grab that one car and do that job. Go ahead and take it off the schedule from 3 days later, and I'll get it done tonight for you. And now you empower your technicians to be productivity minded. Instead of being told what to do, they play a part. I am a technician at heart. We're not dumb, and we can handle scheduling if you'll let us. So this is a huge win for the entire team. Here we go, guys. I know I'm rushing. Scheduling. What does our schedule look like? Well, like I said earlier, a lot of POS systems or schedules are terrible. I probably won't look like this, but I want you to think Tetris. If you've never played Tetris before, that would be weird. I think everyone on this planet has played Tetris because it's programmed into every cell phone ever. But here's the long and short of it. If the part doesn't fit, you can't put it there. Meaning if the repair, a 3-hour repair, is the size of a block, but all I have is a hole, you can't put it where it doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't ship. So we have to understand that we're gonna use a block scheduling method, and I'm gonna unpack that for you here real quickly. So a couple of other prerequisites: productivity potential. You need to go back, in fact, track a 12-week rolling average of your technician's productivity potential. Is he present for 8 hours? Most are, yeah. Does he produce 10? Well, then he's a 10-hour-a-day guy. Does he produce 12, which is where they ought to be, in 8 hours? Yeah, that's where he should be. So we know their productivity potential. And remember, just as a reminder, we have 2 facilities. We have that investigative facility and we have the production facility. You schedule for both, but they're on the same page. Now, when we do this, we also have a distinct difference between promise time and production time. And when we have a production time that's due by the end of the day Tuesday, but we've promised the customer the end of the day Thursday, because I'll teach you how to do that here real quick, we have breathing room. In fact, there's a little bit of a phrase that I've coined. Actually, one of my students years ago said, I was teaching him to do this, and he said, Clint, that's silly. Why wouldn't you just tell me it'd be done tonight? Because we have to guard the customer's experience. It's better to have promised the customer Thursday and be done Wednesday or Tuesday than to have promised Tuesday and be done Wednesday or Thursday. In one, you're the hero for being done early. In the other, you look like a loser who can't schedule correctly, making excuses. Well, parts, well, this, well, that. So we use what I call silly time. Yeah. And again, different rules of thumb. I have some people that double book time and they promise double book time. They schedule to book time. I've got some that add 1 day for every $1,000 sold. It's a $3,000 job. Yeah, you can probably have it done tonight if you go real fast. No, it's 3 days worth of work. That builds value with the customer, seeing $3,000, 3 days. Instead of $3,000, I'll have it done in 4 hours. What do you charge an hour? Oh my gosh. Why do people price shop us? Because you do that. You focus on speed of service and you lose trust. So this model that I'm teaching, what it does is it helps you to, here it is again, that funnel. We're going to fill her up and we're going to keep it full. So here we go. We're getting ready to land the plane. I'm going to show you a scheduling model. This is a generic representation of a scheduling model. I've done this for a couple of reasons, obviously to maintain neutrality in all this. I've talked smack about everybody, but I've talked smack about nobody because I've said no names. Isn't that great? The names have been changed to, well, keep me safe, I guess. I don't want any retribution from any point of sale systems out there. So what I'm going to show you is a Google Calendar. Yep, free. Well, free means free. And here's a Technician A. Technician A is yellow or goldenrod, and this is his schedule. And if you'll notice here, I think I've got my laser on. There's my laser. We diagnose and we inspect in the mornings. We show a lunch break through the middle. If you choose to eat lunch somewhere else, I eat with one hand and produce with the other because I like to make money. You do what you will. But there's a line of demarcation between investigation and production. So let's go through this real quick. I just want to kind of show you a kind of a working model. So here we are on Monday. I've got a Nissan Rogue for inspect and diagnose, a Honda Pilot for inspect and diagnose. Let's say on the Pilot, just needs an EGR valve, pretty easy to replace. Happened to get one same day. And look at that, because we knew our technician's productivity potential of 10 hours a day, but I only scheduled him at 80%. So I only scheduled him at 8 hours, leaving room. Well, guess what? Mr. Jenkins, I can have your Honda Pilot back to you by the end of the day today. It's rare, same day service. I still want to do it if I can. I think that's fantastic. Here's another one. Tuesday, I had Camry comes in for a state inspection. We've got a cruise with level 2 testing, meaning if you're starting at level 2, means it's an in-depth issue. And let's say that the Camry checks out clean, just needs a cabin air filter. Do I leave it in the bay with the door open, the glove box out, and I wait for 3 hours for that cabin air filter? No. I order it and tell the technician, I'll throw it in your production for the afternoon. And it fits right there. Notice, let's do that one more time. It's like a game of Tetris. Look, it fits because 1 hour equals this big. Let's go to this Kia engine job. It's an 8-hour job, but notice I don't put 8 hours in one day. Production only happens in the afternoon, guys. So we're going to split this job 4 hours and 4 hours. So at the end of the day, when my technician goes home, he comes back the next morning, does he go right back on the engine? No, don't touch it. Diagnose, inspect, oil change, inspect, and then get back to work. Now you might say, Clint, how does that happen? All of our bays are full. You said no rack flowers, but hey, genius, there's a Kia that needs an engine. That's really rare. How did that happen? I don't know. Maybe it ran out of oil and it's stuck on my bay. What do I do? Well, again, bay management, and again, this is just, I'm touching on the highlights here today because I'm short on time. Bay management says you've always got one rack available. We have an open rack policy, meaning at any given time in my shop, there will always be one rack available. It's an in and out. Many times it's your drive on, your alignment rack. I can do a quick oil change there. Now, this guy here, he doesn't have a rack. He's got a couple of vehicles to not only change oil, but inspect and diagnose. Well, he can't work. Yes, he can. He can drive it. He can inspect the exterior. He can pop the hood and do his fluid samples and air filter and battery test and do his DVI there. In fact, if he's feeling sassy, he can grab a floor jack and he can shake down the suspension. And as soon as that rack opens up, I need that rack. He pulls it in, lifts it up, does the underside inspection, checks the differentials and checks all the things underneath and maybe a pinpoint test, and then gets it out. Remember our In-N-Out burger? In and out. Nothing stays unless, of course, it's disabled. So that engine will get done in 2 days' time. Let's just say I'm coming towards the end of my day here, and he wraps up early because he is efficient, by the way. Well, what do we do? I got a call for a Malibu, and he needs testing. Hey, get me in for testing, and I'm like, oh, I could squeeze you in at 3:30 today. Don't you dare! It goes right there, and the next open investigative scheduling opportunity. Do not violate investigative in the morning and production in the afternoon. Now, I've got a cruise that came in, I think, let's see here. Oh, we diagnosed on Tuesday and got hold of the customer, and then we sold it. And where do we put that repair? Well, it goes in the next open repair slot right there. 3-hour job. And then let's say that there's a rogue for Mr. Haas. Well, he was here Monday. He was here a day earlier. You know what? He didn't call back in time, and Mr. Brown took that slot, and so Mr. Haas goes into the next one. And here's how it sounds. Mr. Haas, great news. We can get that Nissan Rogue up and running for you. Your total investment's $1,345. And based on our current workload and parts availability, I'll have you back in the driver's seat Tuesday by 4 p.m. Did you need a car to drive, or did you need to ride back on Tuesday? Well, Clint, it's on Friday. Yeah, silly time. Guard his experience. Build in the buffer. Tell him in today, Tuesday. And if you get it done on Monday or even Friday night, you ever call a customer? Mr. Customer, I'm done a day early. I'm so sorry. Please don't yell at me. That never happens. Everybody's happy when you're early. They hate you when you're late. Use silly time. Technician A, we're done with. Let's go to Tech B. It looks pretty similar. Now, I put his voids right after lunch. It doesn't matter. Production is production. So let's just say I get a call from a guy that needs transmission fluid service. We had the car in maybe a month or two ago. And he says, can you get me in? Well, I happen to have a void. Where can I put him? In production on Monday. Now, after he gets that done, my technician B goes right to Mr. Pinkerton's Audi. He's doing the vacuum pump, belt, and oil change, and a bolt breaks. Oh my gosh, can't finish the job. Well, that's okay. We didn't tell Mr. Pinkerton we'd be done by the end of the day on Monday. We told him Wednesday. No harm, no foul. But where do we do this? Do we come in the morning and start extracting that bolt and again have that rolling slowdown where he doesn't touch anything and doesn't fill his funnel until the bolt's out? No. What we're going to do is we're going to put it right there in his production, because that void that we leave open every day, we don't touch and we don't fill until the day of, if at all possible. We leave it open for emergencies and for walk-ins. Don't fill it. Don't be tempted, Mr. Advisor. Oh, I see a 2-hour void 3 days from now. Don't touch it. You might need it. That void or that excess stays open, and you don't know if there's an excess unless you know productivity potential. Here we go. Just real quickly, we're almost done here. I have a Tahoe that came in on Monday, was diagnosed, and it needs some work. Where do we put that? We put it right here. Next opening, the next open slot. And then there's a Monte Carlo. Well, he came in first, right? But he didn't call back in time, and so he goes in the next available slot. And both of these customers are promised 2 or 3 days down the road, but our production, this isn't our internal eyes only. This is a production schedule that you're looking at here. These guys, this guy's is for your technician's eyes and for your eyes only. It's not promise time, it's production time. Here we go. I've got a Kia, a 12 Rondo. We're diagnosing it. My technician comes to the end of his diagnostic allotment of time, which means I sold an hour. He works for 45 minutes and stops. He brings me a story. He showed me his work and says, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. I need to go deeper. I need level 2 testing. Here's what you normally do. Oh, hey, Mr. Phillips, we need more testing. I need to sell you more time. It's going to cost you more dollars, and I'll have you answers by the end of the day, Tuesday, which throws the entire rest of the week off. Every other car behind that is screwed up because you threw something in where it doesn't belong. I can tell you in my model, it goes in the next investigative opening. Mr. Phillips, we have great answers. We know that a number of things work, but however, we need to move to our second level of testing. I anticipate having answers, not repairs, answers on level 2 testing by the end of the day, Thursday. You see, 2 shops under 1 roof. Technician C, that's what he looks like. We'll skip right over here. You know how this works. And so here's my shop at a glance. So I can very, very quickly, without even reading the tiny little words as my eyes age, I need glasses, by the way. I know that if I have anything for inspecting, for testing, for oil changes, I've got openings here. I actually have an opening right here for Tech A. See, I can see that. It's super easy to see. If I need to put some production in for Tech A, look where his void is right here. Tech A also has a void right here. This color-coded time block, it's an elementary process that any child could could do. I think that again, if I had the audience of all the name brand point of sale systems out there, hey guys, hi, I'm boots on the ground. If your schedule doesn't work like this and you've got maybe a job board, tech board, this board, that board, or how about your schedule is so terrible I have to use paper or a big whiteboard out in my shop with magnetic tiles. We call it the war board. Why? Because my POS system hasn't figured this out, guys. Come on. This is how it works. And the technicians see this. Okay. Tech A, what's he see? He sees that. Tech B, what's he see? He sees his day, his week. Tech C, what's he see? He sees that. So they can have this pulled up on their phone, on their tablet, at their workstation, and see what's being promised, see what's expected of them. And you allow them to be, well, mature, grown-up individuals who can manage themselves. We don't have a bunch of kids in the shop, guys. We got people that really just need to be empowered. Empower your team. Let's put a bow on it. Let's wrap it up today. I think I'm right at the end of my time, maybe a minute or two over. Here's the big picture. What I've given you, I understand, is thought-provoking. It may have made you mad. I hope not, but if so, well, I can't see you, so I feel okay. Hopefully you're good. I want this to be a catalyst for change in your shop, but in order for change to happen, you got to do something. Yep, you got to flip the switch. And so I would encourage each of you to chew on this. Maybe you had a team that showed up, or you're watching this recorded. I want you to dig in and really let's get it fixed. Let's fix this industry, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your eagerness to learn, your willingness to listen. And here is my contact information. If anybody wants to reach out after the fact, you can reach out to me via email. I have a phone number there as well. I have a website. Again, my heart and my passion is to help this industry grow. And there's a lot of great traders and coaches and companies out there, and I'd love to have the opportunity to work with you if you think you need it. So everybody, I appreciate you guys, and I'm going to turn it back over to our host, and we'll see if we have any questions.
Thank you so much, Clint. It was a pleasure attending your session. And yes, you were right. It was very thought-provoking, but it was also very engaging. I loved it.
Good.
And I just checked, there were no questions at this time. So if there are any questions after the session, I'll just send them over to you and you can answer them whenever you want. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
this, Clint.
I appreciate you, and everyone have a blessed day, and hope to talk soon.
Thank you for attending, guys. Bye.